and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the redesign for the Internet Identity. The Internet Identity is an application used to authenticate identity anchors when logging into dApps in the Internet computer ecosystem. A few days ago, the CEO of Dfinity actually put out a design challenge, and this is my response to that challenge. So let's take a look at some of the stuff I worked on. So you can see here on this side panel, we have this cool widget that basically allows me to mess around with some of the UI. This realistically isn't something that we'll probably implement into the design, but for me, it was just showing, there's a wide range of possibilities that could, exist within the design here. They're easy to change. And maybe this widget could be cool to give when the user logs into their profile or to their identity anchor, so they can customize their experience here. And we'll take actually a look at some more profile features here in a moment. So this is our home page or our landing page for the app. Typically, if you've already had an identity anchor created, you would see your anchor inputted here, and then you would confirm this. I just wanted to point out, I did keep the card design here laying over the screen. I thought that this was actually a good strategy because when a user logs in on a mobile device, or when this internet identity app pops up when you're logging into a dApp, it's going to be a modal instead of opening in a new browser, which we'll take a look at. We want to be able to keep the same dimensions without having to change all of the elements on the screen. So I kept it within this nice clean card. You see we have this welcome area. We have for new users the ability to create a new identity anchor. We also added the ability to add a new device to existing identity anchor and access a lost identity anchor. I will avoid saying identity anchor a lot. I'll probably just call it anchor, but that is what I'm talking about. And then we have these question marks here. This you will see throughout the UI. The idea here is the user, we want to be able to help new users feel comfortable and provide them with the information needed. This is a pretty technical, Web3 is a technical space with a lot of new technical terms. And so we want to be able to provide them maybe a video tutorial or a descriptive page that kind of walks them through what they should expect when they're doing these things. And this is something I would flesh out if this was the design direction Dfinity wanted to continue with. So let's take a look at some of the new features and functionalities. And I did want to add, as much as I was trying to improve the UI, I was also focused on adding features to this application. It's a very bare bones application, and I thought we could add some extra meat and potatoes to it. So without further ado, let's jump on in. So when I hit confirm here, I'd have to enter in my security PIN, and then I would be taken to my Internet Identity homepage, which this is pretty sweet. You can see some new things here. We have an avatar here. We have an alias name. So you can see that there's a name and avatar tied to this anchor. I also have this list here of dApps that I have bookmarked. So every time I log into a dApp, I had the opportunity to add this to a bookmark list. I thought this would be a cool feature to add, to basically have like all of my favorite dApps in one place, and I could launch them from my Identity Anchor app. I'm sorry, Internet Identity app. And then we have a few different settings down here. We have our settings portal, again, accessing a lost anchor, and the ability to quote unquote log out. I thought this was a better term. Some of the technical terms I have changed to be a bit more user friendly. Like I changed authenticate to create. To confirm. I think that this is a more universal understanding from a user perspective. Same as log out. I think currently it says like, remove this identity anchor from the browser. And to me, that sounded like if I click that, then suddenly my identity anchor is off this computer and I have to put in my seed phrase. I thought that was kind of confusing. So I wanted to kind of humanize these terms and try something different. So let's take a look at some of these things. First, we'll go to the settings portal. Sweet, dude, we have the ability here to edit our profile. So here I can edit and add my avatar. I could change my name if I wanted, my alias. And then down here we have these cool display settings. So how do I want these profile images and name to display in my dApps? And here it says I can display them anytime I'm logged in. asked to display before logging into a DApp. This is what I have selected, and we'll take a look at what that UI will look like. Or do not display my profile, just display my identity anchor, basically. Okay, so this is a cool, like, customizable thing. Again, adding some meat to this application. I can go into my devices and I can manage these here. Currently, you see I have 3 devices. I could delete these devices if I wanted to. I can add a new device, which we will take a look at in a second. But we have a nice clean UI here that's a bit simplified from the current version. Then we can manage our recovery mechanisms. And what this UI is showing basically is that the recovery phrase has been set up and the security phrase has not been. Again, we have these tooltips here showing the user what a recovery phrase is, and if they have more questions, they can hit the Learn More button, and again, be provided some more information, just to give them more confidence about what a recovery phrase is. I can edit these, meaning I can set the different settings that currently exist, the ability to not delete, things like that. Okay, so that's recovery phrases. Let's take a look at what adding a new device is. So I'm currently logged in. I'm in an identity. I'm already logged into my Anchor, and I want to add a new device to it. So I click Add a New Device. And for imagination purposes, since we're in a design here, this on the right-hand side, this iPhone, would be the new device that I want to add to this Anchor. Okay, so I'm logged in on this Anchor, and then this device I am not. So the first thing we have to do, same as always, is add a device name. And in this case, it's iPhone 12. When I hit create, now I'm prompted. You can see I have this basically this time that's ticking down, and I have to set up this device. So it says new device iPhone 12 has been queued. The next steps, I can scan a QR code with new device, or I can copy this link and send it if the device cannot read a QR code. Luckily, we live in the future here where we can easily do that. So let's go ahead and do that. Scan the QR code, and now this device is taken to a page where it needs to be verified, right? This device was added by this Anchor. Confirm device, or I can cancel. Let's confirm it. We're going to add our security key for all imagination purposes. Let's just imagine we do that here. We set up a PIN or facial recognition, and boom, we add that verification. Okay, so security key successfully added. Now you can see the UI has changed. I've been given a verification code, and this code needs to be implemented into the existing device. So let's go ahead and do that. Boom. And now we're taken back to our device page, which we can see iPhone 12 has been successfully added. And maybe one thing we could add is a small modal up here that's green that shows like, hey, this device has been successfully added. That's potentially another design solution we can add. Okay, so that would be how we add new devices. Okay, so let's also go through setting up a device for the first time. So here we are. We've never created an identity anchor, or we have and we want to create a new one. And let's go ahead and take a look at what that workflow would be like. So we're going to create a new identity anchor. Again, we have to name our device. And here again, I've added this thing for new users. I'm feeling unsure. I want to learn more about this process before I get started. I think this is important to have when speaking with some of the users, especially utilizing wallets and NFT markets. I found that a lot of them were hesitant before they would make an action, right? Because they didn't know what the outcome would be. And so we want to provide something that would give that user confidence. And so, in the perfect world, when I hit learn more, maybe a video would display that would show the exact process for going through and creating an identity anchor. On top of that, we do want to create a UI that seems pretty user friendly, and in my opinion, obviously biased, I do feel like we've nailed that here. But we always want to give our users the ability to learn more without having to log out and go to some YouTube tutorial, right? We want to give them that here in this ecosystem. So we'll add our device name here, my MacBook, hit create. And one of the things that I found too with the current application was when you had to put the CAPTCHA of the letters and numbers. I heard a lot of people talking about how they would have to do that multiple times, and those things are kind of a pain in the butt. So I designed out this really clean puzzle verification, which is pretty common here using the Dfinity picture, which I think this looks pretty sick. But this could be a widget that could be added instead of the numbers. You can see this UI has changed. And there has been an extra step added to this page because I do think it's important. So it says, congratulations, your new identity anchor has been created. And in red, it highlights, if you lose your identity anchor, you will no longer be able to use the identity to connect to dApps. So we give the user the ability to copy this, and then we prompt them to say that they had properly stored their identity anchor. Maybe they hadn't, maybe they haven't, but we want to at least, again, push them in the direction to tell them that this is a very important thing to manage, basically to write down. And so besides just giving them a continue button, we want to prompt them to select, yes, I have properly stored my identity anchor before continuing. I think this is a necessary step, and it'll probably help to avoid a lot of people not managing it properly at the beginning. So we hit continue, and we are prompted to add a recovery mechanisms. Again, given that those tooltips, just in case the user is feeling questionable at this time. They can add a recovery later, but let's go ahead and add a seed phrase. And you can see the UI has changed here a bit. Again, matching from the previous page, the user can copy their recovery phrase, and again, they're prompted to say that they had properly stored their recovery phrase. And another thing I've changed is I've added these numbers here. I don't know, from my experience, this is just my experience, whenever I've had to manage wallets and I get these numbers, it makes it, I don't know, it just seems like less cluttered and easier to, make sure I'm getting these things down in the right order so the user doesn't, copy them this way, up and down. We want to make sure that they're copying their seed phrase horizontally. Okay, so yes, I've stored my recovery phrase, I've hit continue, and now I am logged into my settings portal. Again, we've taken a look at this, and now I can add my image, I could edit my alias names, I can start bookmarking dApps. Speaking of bookmarking dApps, let's take a look at what that would look like. So here I am on the Discover homepage, and I need to log in, and I'm going to use my identity anchor. And you can see a few things have changed here. Number one, instead of the this application opening in a different browser, in another browser tab, another browser window, it's opening as a modal, which I think is pretty sweet. We given our destination, we have the school destination card here. It shows the address as well as the favicon basically associated with the location. And then the first thing I'm going to do here is I need to confirm. So this is a different step. Instead of just starting my session, I'm going to confirm my anchor. And then I'll be taken to this page where I will, again, ability to add or remove this location from bookmarks, which will be stored in my settings portal. Remember we talked about this. Do I want to display my profile? And I had it clicked to asked before I load the dApp. So we're going to hit yes. And then when we hit start session, we are now logged into the dApp. And I don't know what this UI would look like. It would vary from location to location, but here we see that Savage has been added to this dApp, and I'm displaying this. So those are some cool new features that I've added. Guys, I have a link to this design file in the comments below. Please feel free to visit it, add some comments to it. What would you change? What do you like? What do you not like? What is something you would add to this? We still have a few days until I'm submitting this, and I would love to hear the community's feedback. All right, thank you so much. Have a great day. See you guys on the next video.